So that will be the context for the practice that we do today. The practice that we do today is a way of helping us to be awake and connected to something that's uncomfortable. Most of the time, when there's uncomfortable future events, we develop anxiety about that. And if there's uncomfortable past events, we develop regret about that. And what I'd like us to practice today is bringing to mind something in the recent past or what we imagine will be the near future that's uncomfortable, and surround it or do it within the context of rooted and spacious. So part of what we'll be doing is a practice that's called Soften, Soothe, and Allow, which is developed by Dr. Kristin Neff, perhaps the world's foremost scholar on self-compassion. And the orientation of compassion in general is to acknowledge suffering and move towards it. Move towards it. And what we'll be doing is moving towards our own suffering with warmth and openness and support, which is radically different than self-criticism or self-recrimination. So I want to give you a sense of my imperfection, which probably isn't that big of a news to you, but I want to tell you this because it will be the situation that I am working with in today's practice. So if you recall, I've talked about my son slash, stepson, Sam. And he and I had a difficult conversation the other day where I was talking about how it's uncomfortable for me when he is living with us. And out of most of that conversation, hang on while I find the language. I have a lot of regret with how I brought up the topic and how that conversation started. So later, after our session, if there's interest, we can talk more about that. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because, A, this is real, honest truth for me, that there's regret in my system, and I won't see Sam for another 5 or 6 days or so to be able to apologize in person and repair what I consider the damage that I created within the relationship. Okay, so I'd like you to pause and consider your recent past or your near future. And when you have something that either feels regretful or there's some anxiety about, I wish you'd raise your hand. You don't have to say what it is. I want us to acknowledge that we've got something, and I want you to keep your hand up. Either there's regret or there's some sense of anxiety. Okay, so I want us to acknowledge that all our hands are up. This is not because we're a special group of human beings. This is because we're human beings. Okay, so let your hands come down. Part of what's important in this very simple hand raising of the entire group is to connect with the fact that this is part of human experience. We're not bad, wrong, stupid, unenlightened because there's anxiety and regret. This is part of the human experience. So we're not alone. And I love it that our group has the kind of courage that's willing to say, yep, me too, in a situation that includes suffering. So today's practice, it's not to erase the suffering, it's to create an internal capacity to be with the suffering. It's another way of increasing internal spaciousness. One of the ways that psychology talks about this is increasing your window of tolerance, so that these things that are outside of your window of tolerance and they're too much or too painful to allow in, as you increase your window of tolerance, even that becomes tolerable. And you have increased your space of comfort. Not because you've decreased the suffering, but you've increased your capacity to be with it, which helps you a lot because you're less reactive. You're less willing to blame other people or yourself. You're more able to bring compassion and reconnect with different dimensions of kindness, generosity, curiosity, love. So, the practice today is something that I hope we get deeply enough in our systems and remember, because the difficulty in life will continue. Okay, that's my introduction, my ramp up to the practice. There will be a variation where we reconnect with rootedness and spaciousness, and then we go into the soften, soothe, and allow practice. Are there any questions or comments before I launch into that? Okay. Please come into a posture that's comfortable, and you're welcome to shift your posture anytime throughout this meditation. And take a slow, deep breath. And already you might feel yourself settle just by shifting how you breathe. Let that one slow breath transmit in its slowness and its depth into a couple more. Whether your eyes are open or closed is up to you. Okay. So as we go through this practice, I'll invite you to use your mind to either remember something that's regretful or remember something that you consider anxiety producing. So we will be using your capacities for mental processes. And when we do that, often thoughts come in and hijack the whole experience. That's okay. The practice itself will draw your attention back to what we're doing. So I want you to be kind to yourself so that you're not self-critical. You simply allow for the course correction of your attention, and you return as fully as you can to what we're doing. Okay, so I'd like you to bring your attention to where you feel the most pressure. That is the contact with the earth. Now, maybe you're sitting on a chair or a cushion. The material of that chair or cushion are from the earth. That contact is related to the earth's drawing you down and supporting you up. That contact, I'd like you to think of as rooting. Give it the label rooting or grounding if that feels better to you. Wherever you are on the planet, you can ground like this. You can root into here. This is actually what defines here. It's the most prominent sensation of here, is this contact with the earth. So as roots go down into the earth, and for a tree, they draw nutrients and moisture up into the trunk and out through the branches and into the leaves. There's another way that the leaves send energy and growth materials down to the roots. So imagine this rooted quality of being bidirectional. Energy moves in both directions. There's a receptive quality to being rooted and an active or generative quality to being here. So this in itself, this quality to be attentive to it, to recognize it, to train awareness to connect with this rootedness. This is a huge part of being grounded, of being non-reactive, of feeling connected to something much bigger than you. Okay. So I just want you to explore this quality of rooting extending above where the surface contact is. Like imagining that your entire torso is like a tree trunk where there are fibers going up and going down. And there's conduits taking nutrients and water up and sending down through that conduit elements that let the roots grow further, extending the roots deeper and wider. The whole body can have a sense of this quality of rootedness. Okay. So now release that notion of rooted to the earth, and bring your attention into your head and imagine again, not a tree this time, but behind your eyes and between your ears is sky. Vast space. Openness, openness, open. Not tied to any concept, not chained to any identity, not centralized. Okay. This quality of spaciousness has a sense of being relaxed with agency, like you could get up and move. You could be responsive to anything that shows up. Relaxed with agency. Release your attention in your heart. Release holding the concept of spaciousness. Release the attention in your head and the concept of spaciousness, and bring your attention to your heart area. Yeah. And for this practice, imagine that this is where the rooting and the spaciousness blend. Just explore and experience what it's like when rootedness blends or meets and then blends with spaciousness. There may be some uncertainty or unfamiliarity with this blend. That's fine. That's openness, open-mindedness. There's no particular destination here. It's a quality that's being experienced and explored. Okay. So this heart that is both rooted and spacious, check if there's a sense of safety, or if something else needs to happen for your heart to feel safe. And if there is, do or say or bring other qualities into your internal situation to help your heart feel safe. I want you to be aware of other qualities that are near the heart, that the heart can call upon or invite. That will help us with the rest of the practice. Openness connects with spaciousness. The heart can also be warm and inviting or welcoming. The heart can be courageous. The heart is willing to walk into vulnerability, going there willingly. Okay. Lastly, for now, generosity. The heart can be generous again and again. The heart can unilaterally extend kindness again and again. The heart does not need to win. But it may need to connect. Okay. So from this place, I'd like you to bring to mind that situation that is regrettable or anxiety provoking. And notice your body shifts almost immediately. Yeah, this is so good that you can be attuned to such subtle sensations. And notice how your body responds to a thought, a memory, an image. This is healthy. As much as you're willing to, focus your attention into the situation that you're imagining or remembering, and allow the discomfort to have a place in your body. You're not pushing it away, sweeping it away, denying it, or turning your attention elsewhere. Notice what other emotions might be in the area. Maybe your heart notices sorrow. Disappointment, frustration, fear, anger, whatever is showing up. Remember that it's within the context or the container of grounded spaciousness. Whatever that sensation is, that is part of how your body responds to the regrettable or anxious thing. Bring attention into that sensation and soften the boundaries. Let the edge be like the edge of a cloud. More diffuse and less defined. As a way of actualizing self-compassion, find a statement that acknowledges the difficulty of this situation for you. For me, it's simple. It says, this hurts. So there's an acknowledgement of the hurt. So in some form. And then remind yourself that you are not alone. You're not isolated. Hurt happens for all of us. Okay. So here's the last part of this particular practice. If the sensation has weakened, or there's been forgetfulness about what we're doing, bring back to mind the situation that is regrettable or anxiety provoking. Notice how it feels in the body, and it's likely different than before. It may not be as intense. It may be in a different location or a different sensation altogether. Part of what we're noticing with this is that sensations change. They are ephemeral. This thing that we're noticing is a process in continuous flux. So in this state, we're going to review the steps. Rooting from below, spaciousness from above, coming together in the heart, remembering warmth and welcome, the lack of a need to win, an openness to connection and collaboration, cooperation. And then we brought in this memory of something that we either project into our future or we remember from our past, and let it be inside. It's a form of kindness to go towards the suffering. We soften the boundaries. We've soothed ourselves by remembering we're not alone. And we've noticed how the sensation changes, morphs, and transforms. Okay. So as we're coming out of this practice, one more time, bring to mind that situation and notice how it feels in the body now. Notice if there are different emotions that may be also present in addition to regret or anxiety. The regret or anxiety may be completely gone, which is okay. Okay, so from here, reconnect with the grounding. Reconnect with this solid sensation. Yeah, good. And reconnect with this spaciousness. And then reconnect with the location where they blend. Let your heart feel full, strong, rich, and open. And put your hands on your knees and squeeze your knees. Reconnect with that sensation of the strength of your body, both the strength of your hands, but also the strength of your legs. And tap your feet on the floor a few times. Find your backbone and let it rise up out of your pelvis like a redwood. Take a deep, slow breath in and raise your shoulders up towards your ears as you inhale. Hold the inhalation. Take in a little more air. And let the exhalation go while the shoulders melt towards the floor. Flutter your eyes open enough to remind you of your location. Then when you feel good enough or ready enough, let your eyes refocus on the screen and bring your attention back to all of us. Do whatever you need to do to feel like, oh, okay, I can rejoin conversation.